You guys, we have got to talk about influencer Maddy Prewett and her husband, Grant. It's giving Matt and Abby all over again. Like, I'm not going to lie, these podcast clips give me the exact same type of TMI energy, saying crazy viral stuff. Like, you would hope that they were saying all of this stuff in order to get the clicks, get the views, and all of that. But I feel like they're actually being serious in this based on all of the other stuff that they have, said in the past. But a lot of people are talking about them. We are going to get into what they said about their daughter, how they're explaining the Bible. It's a whole big deal, you guys, and it's getting them called out. So if you thought Matt and Abby shared too much online, then just wait for us to break down what's going on here, you guys. Do you guys have your seatbelts on? Because truly you need to buckle up for this. This whole drama surrounds Madison Prewett Troutt and her husband Grant. And you may remember Maddie from season 24 of The Bachelor. This was Pilot Pete's season. It was a very big season. I feel like it was one of the last seasons of The Bachelor that people really tuned into. But from the very beginning, Maddie stood out as the producers made it known that she was taking a firm stance on her Christian values and her decision to save herself for marriage, which on The Bachelor was a very big deal because, as you know, if you watch it, there is a point in the show when they go into the fantasy suite and do it. And so the fact that she was saving herself, everyone was like, how's this gonna work? Is she, gonna think differently of him if he does something with somebody else? Like, it was just a whole thing. As the season progressed, she quickly became a front runner and even got to attend Peter's parents' vow renewal, which is like so intimate. I feel like it's crazy that they had her attend that because like now she's like all in the pictures in their family history and they're not together anymore. Like, it's so awkward. Anyway, things got tense when Maddie expressed her discomfort with the idea of Peter being intimate with the other contestants during Fantasy Suites Week, leading to one of the most talked about moments of the season when she ultimately walked away from the show before the final rose ceremony. Though Peter did end up pursuing her again because he chose Hannah Ann and he broke things off with Hannah Ann to try and see about Maddie, but it just didn't work out with them. Maddie's time on The Bachelor surely made waves because everyone was talking about the way that Peter's mom just didn't really like her as much as she liked Hannah Ann, so it was like this whole big thing. Now, since The Bachelor, she married Grant in October 2022, just 8 months after meeting. And Grant is the son of billionaire Kenny Troutt, and he shares Maddie's deep Christian faith. And together they've done a lot of interviews. They have talked very openly about their faith and just what they're trying to share with the world and help other people. And in all of this, she launched the Stay True podcast last year, where she would talk candidly about topics like identity, mental health, purity, relationships, and spirituality. Though, much like Matt and Abby, people felt like she was maybe sharing a little too much. And when she had her husband Grant on, they were like, yeah, you guys maybe should be reeling it in. Like, some of this stuff is a little TMI. We don't need to be hearing this. This is a little much. And this week, people were really talking about them as a clip has gone viral of them talking about punishing their daughter in the future and their plans. In January of this year, Maddie gave birth to their daughter, Hosanna Rose. She's only a couple months old, but the two of them are talking in this podcast episode about parenting, and the subject of discipline came up, and this is what they had to say.
You have a child. You don't just discipline them for being good and obeying you, right? Like if Hosanna obeys us, we're not like, come here, girl, come here. All right, pull him down. Get the, mama, get her. Which will be hilarious when we start spanking Hosanna. Which
Lord.
we will, on the record, because the Bible so clearly says.
Clear about that.
It says folly is bound up in a child, but discipline drives it far away.
Well, and it also specifically talks about discipline with the rod.
With the rod. It says it will not kill them.
Because some people could say, well, you can discipline them with timeouts. Hold on. It says with the rod.
She gonna get a little bit. It's not gonna be, yeah.
And it's not, and it's gonna be in a very loving way of saying, hi, sweetheart, do you know why you're being disciplined? Mommy does not want to discipline you. Mommy does not enjoy having to spank you, but there are consequences to disobedience.
100%.
And that's
People definitely reacted to this, and they had a lot they wanted to say to them.
Hey, so this is weird. I don't know if anyone's told you this. This is really weird and creepy and concerning. How excited he is to pull down his daughter's pants, exposing her bare butt and spanking her. That's weird. It makes me very uncomfortable. And the fact that he's like, oh, it's going to be so funny. It's going to be so funny when we start hitting our kid. That's going to be hilarious. You can tell Maddie's like really uncomfortable, which we're given intuition for a reason, especially mothers. If it feels uncomfortable and icky, it's probably because it is. She's like, I don't want to discipline you. I don't want to spank you. Then don't. The Bible isn't a 100% instruction manual, okay? You can live your life by it, but you should live your life by the teachings of Jesus.
Smiling and laughing while talking about spanking your child that's not old enough to be spanked yet because they're a little baby is really weird and bizarre. You guys are really weird. Spanking your child because the Bible told you to? You're a weirdo. You're a weirdo.
People commented and said, oh, now we're following it word for word. Curious if he'll gouge his own eyes out for lusting too. And someone else said, right? Let's pick and choose. They give me the major ick. Because it's been made known on their podcast and in interviews that Maddie was waiting for marriage and Grant didn't. He didn't wait for marriage. He had lusted, okay, before Maddie. And so everyone was like, wait a minute, what? Now you're suddenly following the Bible word for word?
As I fell into this category, Grant fell into this category. If you're not watching the video, I fell into, the camp of, well, at least I haven't had sex. I've done the other stuff. I've done other things, but I haven't had sex, so I'm fine, right? Grant fell into the category of I've had sex, and so, what's the big deal now? And so whichever category you fall into, if you fall into one of those two camps, I want to speak.
Like I said, everyone was just kind of like, wait a damn minute. Like, you weren't following the book to a T when you had sex before marriage, but suddenly you want to play it word for word when you're talking about disciplining your children. And in this way, they just found it really crazy and extreme. I mean, it wouldn't even be the first time they spoke about lusting and all that either, as they went viral a few years ago for a interview that they did where people were just like, this is a lot you guys are sharing with the world right now.
There were moments where we would start making out and maybe we got a little handsy, and what I would feel the next day, stripped of confidence, stripped of boldness. All of a sudden, I'm not leading her well. Shame. Yeah, and I think my tongue got looser, my tongue lashed out, and we said this thing where Satan promises this beautiful little box of pleasure, and he says, hey, take this. It's just a little bit. You're not going to go all the way. Just take a little bit, and it promises unity. But every single time, and we didn't do anything crazy, but we crossed the line we knew we shouldn't have. It promised unity. And it only caused our biggest fights. It only caused division. And Satan swears, he says, hey, just take it. It'll bring you closer. But really, I mean, that just divided us. And so we took that very seriously.
At the time, people commented and said, I can't imagine someone saying they were stripped of confidence after making out with me. They scare me genuinely. He is so unsettling. Can't relate. It's definitely one of those podcast couples that everyone has just been like, maybe we need to not get on the mic and share everything, which is what Matt and Abby said recently. They talked about how they decided to not be so open in their episodes because it's brought them a lot of criticism. So maybe these two will be taking a page out of their book.
More recently is not talking about things until it's we've resolved them, healed from them, whatever it is. Because I think it's good to be vulnerable. I mean, I feel like that word is overused in a way, but the sense that we're not putting on any kind of front, and we're not also going to, social media gets criticized a lot for being highlights reel. So you have to do that, find that balance there. Yeah. And but also there's certain times where it's okay, if your marriage is more important, then you have to be ready. You have to be right within yourselves before you're putting this out there for everyone. And I think we've made mistakes in that area before. And I feel now we have a really good system for communicating those things. And so now it's a really quick thing. It's oh, what are we gonna talk about? Okay, this is I don't know. I think it's a little too soon. It's all right, move on. Or we even said it by accident. It's okay, great. We have the power of editing. I didn't feel I said that was okay to talk about, but in hindsight, I feel it's a little bit maybe toes the line. Or we can ask our friends, be does this seem a little bit? So we have a lot more open conversation, dialogue around those things now.
Maybe they'll end up addressing this moment since people are pretty shook by what they said about discipline, but I guess we will just have to see if that ends up happening. But I certainly want to know what you guys think about all of this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.